36 degrees Celsius. This is insanely hot. I mean, I'm using a fan here, but it just already gives me headaches uh, due to the um, direction. So let me modify actually direction of the fan just a bit. Okay. Whew. All right. So first board, we've got David Howell with Shreyas Royal. Actually, let me go to the big board here. So whom playing? Gawain Jones Matthew, Stuart Conquest, Elder Gasanov, and so forth. We got a bunch of strong players here versing each other. Wow, there's so many games. Obviously, we can't cover all these games. We're going to maintain our focus maybe on the first 4, perhaps 5 boards. And okay, let's go with the first. Okay, Michael Adams drew with I Chen Han. Right, so let's go with the first then. Actually, let me go to the very beginning. We got a friend via YouTube who had recommended that we actually perusing through the game starting from the very first move, which I think makes a lot of sense. So thank you very much, Mr. Connor. I think that's the name of the person. Okay, though. I think they played a Italian game or Gioco Piano, right? With the emphasis on bishop c4, f7. Already quite aggressive. It's a beautiful opening, aggressive. c3, c3 multi-purpose, stopping any attempt to b4 or d4 from the knight or bishop, so that will be pushed either d or b as well, preparing the break, the pawn break in the middle. Knight to f6, developing a bit of a pressure on the pawn on e4. But before that, he attacks to tempo, d4 attacks, and now hits the knight, e5. Pushes d5, bishop b5, pinning the knight, which can't move. Pressure on this guy here on f6. Knight to e4, takes, attacking the bishop. Bishop to b6, knight to c3, challenging on e4. Bishop e3, develop and develop and develop. h3, kicking the bishop away. Queen c2, moving away from the pin, but also weakening a little bit the f3 and the king side. Interestingly, he didn't take. It's a theoretical approach. A bishop to g6, you are on the same diagonal with the bishop, queen to b3 now, moving away from that. Diagonal, castles now, c6, send the bishop away, bishop to d3. Knight harassing the bishop on e3, which, by the way, is a little bit passive anyway. Queen c2 forming a nice battery. Knight takes, pawn takes, and knight to g3, hitting the rook. Bishop takes first, and being willing to actually trading 2 minor pieces for a rook and a pawn. Because now if you take on f1, first thing first, white is going to take on h7 with tempo, checking the king. You do whatever, probably moving in a corner, the only move, and then rook recaptures on f1. And because it didn't happen in this fashion, obviously that would have been very bad for black. He didn't. He actually took the bishop on g6, rook f2 and stuff. And now we're going to get to the move they're actually onto right now. Very sharp, very sharp. Notice how g4 attacks the knight here. g6 is a perennial weakness. So after that f-pawn had been pushed, the g6 is a complete target. Knight goes back. I wonder if knight could have played e5 in this position. I'm just curious, what would you personally consider, guys? Is knight e5 playable here? No, it doesn't work because I suspect you want to protect against the queen g5 incoming check from the queen. Maybe that's the reason he didn't play. So knight f1 decided. In the end, queen to h4 goes for the weakness. This one is a weakness here. I guess he plans on, after queen h3, he plans on playing rook h2. I think that's an idea. And need to make use of your minor pieces anyway. Knight on c3 didn't do nothing. Whereas this bishop can play on c7. I think that's quite a dangerous diagonal you got to pay attention to. He didn't. He moved the queen. What's the idea here? What do you want to play? You want to play this after, or what? Sorry, what's the stuff? I think he could have played this one previously if he wanted to. Takes now. And white has to be careful about this one. Also, you can't play knight g3 because queen will take straight away. So you need to come up with something. The problem here for white is that they have 34 seconds. Shreya's 29, almost half an hour here available. So that's enormous time. So guys, thanks for joining via what's that, TikTok. Okay, I have to alternate in between the tabs. I'm streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Let me check if I actually am. If I actually am live on. Yeah, I think I am. So I'm not going to go to kick.com on Facebook and stuff. I've got a nice coffee here. 36 degrees Celsius, guys. No more. No, I mean, this is just crazy hot. As I said, 36 degrees Celsius in London now is just scorching hot. Scorching hot, that is. Okay. Okie dokie. Back to this position. 13 seconds for David. I know you get like half an hour when you reach 40 move threshold, but you know, knight had been played on f4 to protect this one. Bishop took straight away. There's a very, very dangerous position here. There is a knight supported by the queen. You got to play this one very carefully. If white gets the necessary tempo to actually engage also the rook, which is on a1 and very passive, another check may be coming here. But I think if you play the king, can you play king f2? I'm asking for a friend. Can you play king f2? No, he played rook. He assumed that after he double up actually. So if the white king can go to safety, if the white king can march on to safety, white's doing incredibly well. I guess you can even play queen f2, but not now, because you're going to get checkmated. So you need to play king f2 and king e1, something like that. You move the king away from the danger zone, and assuming king manages to get to e1, then I think you don't have any big problem. You can then play perhaps queen f2, and you can start dreaming about about moves like rook f8, rook takes, queen takes, check. They're going here, check, and trade off the queen. So in principle, generally talking, king f2, just prophylactically try to reach the e1 from where you could further on run away from danger. King f2, king e1, king d1, of course, that's a lot of tempi happening. I agree. This is a lot of tempi. A lot. Correct. And but anyway, you've got, after all, a knight and 4 pawns versus 6 black pawns. Okay, let's assume the rooks and the queens are getting traded, which I think white intends to just do that. If you put in the king and the knight, that's enough for white to win. All right. If you now make the queen and the rooks disappear, and you don't lose any other pawns and stuff, I think knight and king with the 4 white pawns should be able to win this position. There is massive pawn majority, indeed, on the queen side, but a knight is a knight. You're going to be chipping away at the black pawn wall in one way or another. You need to trade off the things. And now, before queen f2 happens, I think safer would be king f2, king e1, then queen f2. And I really don't know what exactly black can play here. So I'd assume white should be winning. And event, shall we go to Gawain Jones and Matthew? I haven't seen the game at all. I mean, not until this very moment. I haven't seen the game at all. What they played, the King's Indian attack, 12 minutes and 11 minutes. What move is that? Move number 26. This being the last move, knight c5. Double attack, 2 black knights, hitting the e4, and also then this guy would be under pressure. Okay. Queen is being hit, by the way, with this nice c5 idea. Queen is being hit, not just the pawn. And the question is, if you're going to move to safety, what does it mean, safety? And you're going to provide defense for this guy? Are you going to trade off the knight? By trading off the knight, Of course, you part ways with the bishop, which is an incredibly active piece. By looking at this diagonal, this is a very, very active bishop on d4. Right. Okay. Guys, feel free to check my latest video on YouTube. I think I uploaded it. I uploaded on TikTok as well. That video. It's on the knight and bishop checkmate technique, W technique, and also pushing the king on the rim. So you may want to have a look at your convenience, of course, at that video. It's cool. I think it's good to having that knowledge. It can't be harming your chess understanding. So there is another thing here. If bishop takes c5, black's going to take with the queen back, because that would be the check with tempo. Therefore, the knight on f6 will be saved. So I think that needs to be understood, my friends. It must be understood. You can't play wishful chess like bishop's going to take and then you expecting black to take back with the rook or with the pawn. That's not going to happen. Not even the rook. You're going to be the queen with check. So it's a thing. It's a thing. You have to be careful about this one. Of course, that's a truism, but it's applicable. Okay, another game. So that is going, okay, Mickey Adamson, Ichan Drew. Let's look at this one. Stewart Conquest with Elder Gasanov, if I said this one correctly. Okay, what is going on here? 5 minutes, Stewart. Elder 16. Whose turn is it? Black's turn to play. Okay, rooks are connected. That's cool. Bishop Humphrey. And I can see the rook pair, but also black does not have the rook on a8 doing nothing. They haven't developed the bishop yet. The knight is being hit, and the knight is pinned by the bishop. And also this bishop is under attack. Looks like the white pieces are very, very harmoniously deployed, developed, and they are actually actively attacking. Stewart's white pieces are actively attacking. There are a couple of very, very serious threats, even if you consider queen c6. Well, anyway, the bishop has to move. I think we can conclude like this. The bishop must move. Boy, you have a lot of tactics here. That's a lot of tactics. If you ever were to consider... Well, the bishop must go, right? So I don't know where the bishop goes. I really don't know where the bishop is supposed to be going. But afterwards, white might be having all sorts of tactics. Does this one working? Rook f6? Specifically, if the bishop goes a7 or something, you could play rook f6 check because knight takes and queen is gone. And when the king goes here, you always have queen to e2. Right? I think that is just working. And if the king comes down or something, you could actually capture here on h. So it's a very tactical situation. Actually, that would be very time consuming. No wonder white spends so much time now, and it's a bit of a gap in between the two players' time. Okay. And black has an issue with the development. Rook doesn't exist, so to speak. Bishop hasn't been developed. Black knight is being pinned. I mean, it's a lot of trouble here for black. Those three pieces highlighted. Let me put some blue paint here. Those three black pieces are not developed. They don't exist. I mean, the knight is developed, but it's pinned, so can't move, so to speak. And the bishop is attacked. There is a passed pawn, that is true, but the pressure that the queen exerts on the bishop is enormous now, so you can't ignore. You can't ignore the queen on c4. You can't ignore it. So yeah, Elda got himself a problem on to solve now, a delicate one. Okay. Let's move into another one. Events. Back to David and Shreyas. Okie dokie. Oh man, 2 minutes for David? What move is that? What move number is that? Let's put our fan again. Crazy hot. It's just crazy hot. Rook G1. Let me see actually what did he choose to play. But as I said, after check here, he moved King F2. Not that you had a choice. You didn't have any choice. Rook now goes for double attack here. And Rook G1. Of course, it doesn't work. It doesn't work King E1 here because you're losing the knight and you kind of like lose the game. Hi there, Step. Crazy hot, mate. It's 36 degrees Celsius in London now. It's just scorching hot. All right, it's like I feel like it's Egypt or something. It's just crazy hot. For me, at least. I don't know. For others, might be cool. For me, it's not. So that is why Rook G1 had been played. Double defense on this guy. White is very keen on trading, so Rook F8 is not going to happen because Rook's going to take straight away. I assume after Rook G1, White can go with moves like King F or King E. You guys are free to articulate your answers if you want to. Okay. I don't know what Black is supposed to do. You can't do checks. You can't do nothing at this stage. Can you do a check or something? Is there any way you could improve or activate your pieces more? Activation of the pieces like what? The Rook on C8. What can you do with that Rook? You want to try open up things here in order to, you know, maybe if the king goes F or E? I don't know what to say. Okay, Rook F8 had been played. Not that there were too many choices. Rook takes now. I think Rook has to take. Obviously, you got to take. Every single trade. It is passive. It is because the king is completely naked. There is no pawns to shielding the king. So yeah, the white is defending at the minute, but they got extra knight. So if you trade off the rooks and the queen now, king and knight is going to win this ending. But let's see how the trades happen here. Let's see how they take place. I think rook should take on f8, right? And David has to move faster. 6 more moves. 6 more moves for David Howell until he actually reaches the threshold, and then he gets half an hour extra on his clock. So that's important to mention. That's the format. Okay, rook f8. I don't think there's anything better than this. You're also putting the king on the f-file. Maybe you'll be able to attack it. So, sorry, after king f or e, you might be able to play some queen, and then, you know, maybe you play the... You got to be careful, though. But you might be able to play queen f2, checking the king if rook takes, king takes. You know, that's to be considered as well. Okay. Gawain Jones and Matthew. Let's see what's going on here. Whose turn is it? Matthew, 8 points. He's an international master, playing GM, Gawain Jones. Tough position. White went for... So last move was... I mean, at some point when I came here firstly for the game, after knight c5, queen is being hit. And queen a2. e4 can be attackable, I guess. I don't know if he took it or not. Queen, actually. g3 pressure. And e4 3 times attack. I assume if bishop were to capture, we would have a check here. I don't know how to say. This is a very tactical, very tactical position here. Very tactical position. I think he also relies on playing the black knight on c5 and then some rooks, perhaps. On the second rank. Not that easy, but I guess it's doable. It's very crazy tactical step. Is very wild. Really wild. I mean, I don't know what to look at first. What I can see is that the g3 currently is under pressure. So question is, do you defend g3? And if you need to defend g3, which I think you should, how do you defend it? You defend it by moving the king, right? If you move the king, how do you move the king? Do you play h or do you play g2? You see, you play h or do you play h2? Which way do you go? Again, e4 will disappear shortly, and then you're going to have g3 being attacked by the knight and by the queen. So this is really complicated. Tactically speaking, I think this is really challenging. If black doesn't, if black is not successful with this attack now, you're going to have some issues with the dark square, with that bishop, which is incredibly active and dangerous. Thanks for following, Jack. Thanks for following. So, king h2, okay. Then knight f6 takes on e4. Is the British Chess Championship, Jack? Did he move? Yes. Can you admire the resourcefulness of Gawain Jones here? That instead of playing king up the board, somehow he moved the bishop onto e5, defending the g3. Okay, knight can still be playable. Now, if you go for this, f7 is completely exposed. And not just that, it's completely exposed. You're getting checkmated. So knight on f6 can't move because you get checkmated. Hello, Mr. Locke. Good to see you. Long time no seen. I'm happy you stopped by, my friends. Appreciate a great deal. So, guys, look at the craziness of the position here. Knight can't play. This guy on f6 can't really move because of the queen f7 check. Sorry, checkmate. If you move the knight on f6, it's just checkmate in a move, my friends. No more, no less. So it's incredibly delicate. What do? Do you play the other knight? Okay, then knight takes. What do you play? Again. Knight f6 is untouchable. You can't move it. Of course, huge pressure on f6 and also huge pressure on f7. So f6 and f7 are incredibly critical, and black has an issue with those. He tried to pressurize the g3, but bishop e5 just takes care of it. It's just great. It's actually great. He played knight d3 though. Knight to d3. Gawain played bishop d6, moving away from the knight's attack because knight d3 hits the bishop and, of course, opens up the rook chances. Bishop goes d6, though. Still defending g3. I think this is important. And I guess he plans on something like, what, pushing the pawn up if necessary? Maybe, but let's take it step by step. Fabulous, fabulous. Let me go to the first game, guys. The board number 1. Which is David Howell playing right now with Shreyas. And it's a very difficult ending, very instructive. He got just 1 minute. What move is that? Move number 38. He only needs 2 more moves in order to get half an hour on his clock. They play the Joko piano. White queen now goes for the pawns. I guess goes for this. Let me see what I actually played. Because last time it was rook on f8, which I did say white should take. They take. King takes. Check, hitting b7. King to b4 attacks the queen and b7. Knight being protected twice. You can't check with the queen or anything. Knight just defends it. Well, you could do rook f6. Did he do it? No, he moved the king away. First thing first, it was check indeed. King moved away to f1. Why did they move king f1? Why? Because he wants to get the queen to e1 or something? No, you can't do this. There is rook f6 coming. Why did he play king f1? Okay, moving away from the knight, so it's free to play the knight. I get it. Rook check, blocks with the knight. Very sweet, very nice. King checks the f1 king and attacks e3. King goes on e2, out of check and defending e3. Knight on pre, by the way, from the knight. b7 under attack, check. What do? If you go here, you're going to have an almighty check. But then knight blocks, blocking the check and defending the rook. So this is fascinating. So even if you play something like king to d2, which I don't know if it's the best move. He's got 15 seconds. Look at the clock. It's insane. So if he does king d2 after queen f2, you could still play knight e2, right? There you go. Oh man, he took it. Oh boy. Now when you do this, guess what? I think he messed it up. I think David just screwed it up, man. You gotta take it now, right? Or you take g7 first. You take g7 first to expose the black king even more, because you're gonna lose the rook regardless. If you take now, do you know what black's gonna play next? Gonna play queen to f2 check. I don't know where you're going, but this rook is gone. And if the rook is gone, you better take something with you, exposing the black king a bit more. So perhaps a rook g1 to g7 check. Now I notice on David Howell's panel, I can see half an hour, well, 29 minutes and something. So white rook is gone. Therefore, rook g7 check. And then you're going to take the f4. You must take the f4. The problem, you know what that is? The problem is when you capture this guy, the pawn on e3 would be a passer. I think David missed a huge opportunity. Maybe he didn't choose the right sequence. It was a very difficult game. This one's a very difficult game as well. I'm having my cold iced coffee. 36 degrees Celsius. Crazy. So I think whatever David had, it's gone. And now he also has a material deficit, pawn deficit to be more precise. So what do you do? What do you do? I'd say rook g. I don't know what else. I think due to the fact he had a few seconds on the clock, he might have missed some better moves. So rook g7, king takes. Maybe you could play this check. No, because rook blocks and you're just completely done. You're dead. So rook g7, king takes, pawn takes. And after you take, black's going to push this guy. e3 check. I think he got a serious issue here now. Black's going to win, actually. Queen b7. You want to threaten the checkmate. I understand. First thing first, we're going to have queen f2. Pawn lock. We're going to have pawn lock. We're going to have queen f2 check. After queen b7 threatening g7 checkmate. And you have to go somewhere. If you go in the back rank, I'm going to take your rook with tempo checking the king. If you go in the third rank, I'm going to take the white pawn with tempo check again. And I'm still going to take your rook, and you will have no checkmate available to you. So queen b7 actually kind of like loses big time. Rook g7 step, that is, I think, rook g7 is the only move that can be played to diminish, I mean, to try to take something with you. You know, I mean, that guy is going to die. The rook is going to die. Take something with you. So you're going to try to grab a pawn in the process. The rook is gone on g1. Wow. Might this be the first game he's losing at the British chess? Could be. Could be. And this crazy position. Last move for white, 5 minutes each. And we're going to go also to Stuart Conquest game. It was a very nice tactical idea. I mean, many tactical ideas over there as well. Rook c6 attacking the bishop and defending the incredibly weak f6 knight and square. Bishop under attack. Would you push now e5? That feels incredibly tempting. I mean, what else, really? So I'm very, very keen on e5 at this stage. No, apologies. There is an issue with g3. Whoa, I've forgotten about that guy. Blunder, blunder after blunder after blunder. How do you defend g3? And how do you defend the bishop from the rook? Was it a little bit too adventurous? Now bishop's being hit and g3 is being hit. So you see, everything is such a fine balance. It's so bloody risky. So my TikTok friends, I'm not able to see your messages quite on time. So I have to alternate with the web chat. So apologies if I do not answer your greetings or your ideas, my TikTok friends. Unless you are on Facebook or Twitch or Kick.com or YouTube, where I can see the messages and everybody publicly can notice your ideas. Right, so the issue for white now is g3 and d6. If you play e5, queen takes g3 on the spot. I think you're in deep trouble. You're going to get executed, checkmated, because there's two black knights jumping in. After queen g3, where do you go? You go in a corner, right? Then you have the other guy. Bang, check. And then you're going to take the queen is going to take. Okay, then pawn is going to take this guy here. Okay. Then queen's going to take on h, check. They're going to go g1. Very difficult. Very difficult. No rook f7 available. Rook f7, rook d6. There's no rook f6 you meant step, right? Rook f6. No. Black takes... wait a minute. Rook f6, I get it. Rook takes here because he can't take g3. I get it. Yeah. I get it. Interesting. Very cool stuff you're saying, Step. Thanks very much for this. Rook takes f6. Rook takes d6. Queen takes f7. Check. Excellent. King h8. Oh my god. Wait a minute. Rook takes. Queen takes f7. King's in a corner. If you play queen f8, rook takes, it's not checkmate. It's not checkmate. It's just not easy. It's one of those Saturday or Sunday puzzles, so to speak. It's just so not clear. So this is a massive weakness, the g3. Can you make a perpetual with white, though? So rook takes f6, rook takes d6, queen takes f7, check, king goes in a corner. You can't even make a bloody perpetual because the rook defends f6. Where's the check? Okay, you take with the rook, but then queen takes g3, checks your king and attacks your rook. This is just nuts. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're supposed to like... oh, man. This is really tough. Okay, what did he do? Rook f6 he played, Step. Congrats, dude. He played the move you had proposed. Rook f6, rook d6. Your line of thinking. Queen f7. Your very line of thinking. King goes in a corner and knight to e2, defending g3. Exactly your line of thinking had been played now. Rook takes and queen takes check. Oh man, king g8. Knight has to defend g3. What do? Do you play rook f1 or do you move king g2 up the board, king lift? What do you play? Question is... oh, sorry, that's a mouse slip. Oof, that's the nightmare of the blitz and the bullet. Mouse slip. Nothing probably more frustrating than dropping the piece on the square you didn't want to. Yeah, but we're able to find some of their ideas at least, like namely you yourself have found a sequence that has been played by a grandmaster. Gawain Jones played the stuff you said. Queen to b6. Queen to b6 being played now attacks the rook. So you have to do something. Either move rook to safety or defends the rook. Which one is it? Looks like the black queen is super happy to keep pressure on this g3 weakness, and also on the white knight, that is. But the queen attacks the rook with tempo, so to speak. So what do you play? Do you move the rook to safety? How are you going to play this? I think if rook goes to safety, Gawain plans on playing simply queen e3. You need to play queen e3 for a couple of reasons. First, you defend g3 one more time, thus setting up free the knight. You defend the knight, and you attack the knight. So after rook goes, I don't know where. I could say maybe rook goes on the f8 square. Perhaps. Then queen e3. Perhaps. Then what if rook f3? Honestly. What if rook f3? Then what do? They could also play queen b3 check and forking the knight. So if rook f8, it might be queen b3. After all. And then you take the knight. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think just simply white is winning at this stage. If my conclusions are accurate, if I'm not overly fabulating, that's just the stuff. So rook has to go. Where do you move the rook? You got to stay on this column, right? Because you're going to lose the knight after queen b3, check and fork. So you have to keep the rook on the d file. But where? D file where? What d file? 8 seconds, 7 seconds, less and less seconds for Matthew. Move number 35. It's worth reminding, guys, that they get 30 seconds increment after each move they play. Queen now gave up on the very juicy g4 attacking g3 and the knight and went on c8. Rook still defending the knight and the queen defends the rook. But it looks to me like white now can really take initiative. White simply is ready to attack stuff. Deploying some pieces. Yeah, you could play... No, not that one. Rook f again. Queen b3, rook d1 for... yeah, we can take that one into account as well, Step. Thank you very much for your idea. So rook d1 you're suggesting. Queen b3 is always good because you check and, hit the knight at the same time. Yeah, queen b3, king goes wherever the king goes, and then maybe rook d1, double attack on this guy. Rook d1, the move you had said. There you go. You guys are seeing a lot of stuff. Now the question is, what's black play? Black moved away from the potential queen b3 check and forking the black knight. King g7 now. Any other checks we might take advantage of? He maintains the queen on the dark square so that there is no check coming from the black queen. Although black can play queen c5. No, it's a disaster. You lose the rook. If queen c5, queen takes, knight takes, and rook takes rook. Goodbye. That's it. So queen c5 is a blunder, and Matthew is not going to play it. I put it with red so that it's clear that this is a blunder. Queen c5 is a big blunder here. Queen c5, queen takes, knight takes, rook takes. Upper rook, game over. Absolutely game over right then and there. So he's not gonna play queen c5. Anyway, white's turn to move. What else have we got here, guys? Can we play queen e3? What? Knight f4? Knight f4, you said? Hold on a second. Oh, man, I got a headache. Right. Knight d4. Guys, keep it chess-related, please. Knight d4, cutting off the rook from protecting the black knight on d3, and now the rook attacks it, and there is no defense for this. Yeah. And I think black is in trouble. He also needs to make 3 more moves until, oh, well, okay, 2 more moves. No, 3 more moves until he reaches the 40 move threshold and gets the half an hour extra. Knight to c5. What do you play next? Is there a check you might consider? What do you play? Do you move the knight? If you move the knight, where you move it? You got to be careful because you yourself are in a pin with this rook on d1 here. Oh my days, this is just glorious. Okay, that was just a tactic. No, he found a tactic. I'm taking it because it's knight f5. Queen takes knight f5. Beautiful tactic. Queen is gone. You're gonna be rook and knight now. So I think the other guy is just gonna resign. The other guy is gonna resign on the spot now. That's it. Pawn takes. Okay, it's still something happening here. I think black should continue now because, yeah, okay. I think, yeah, but, you know, he just had enough. So pawn's gonna take, rook's gonna take the queen. Yeah, you're gonna grab one more pawn in the process. Still attacking g3, but after moves like check and then you go for the a6, remove the a6, this guy is going to promote just like that. Yep. Okie dokie. Let's see. Hey guys, there was something super cool with Stuart Conquest. There was such a tactic. Ah, yeah. This is just another brilliant position here, in which rook hasn't been developed at all, bishop hasn't played at all, knight being pinned, so 3 pieces all of a sudden can't move anywhere. So this is just fabulous. I mean, very bad for black and incredibly good for white. And bishop under attack. I think he resigned last time I visited. He just resigned because you have to take care of the bishop. I don't know where you move the bishop. I really don't know where you move the bishop. But then all sorts of tactics come into play here, and you're just getting smoked. That's it. It's just game over. You're being attacked from all directions. Black, that is. Back to David. Is David still alive in the game, so to speak? Oh, this is so critical. Whatever advantage he might have had, he lost it now. King check. Rook is gonna die very soon, and then this guy's gonna move. And you know what's but wait a minute, whose turn is it? Ah, black's turn. He should have taken step. You know, we were discussing previously. Rook should have taken on g7. He didn't take on g7, and now this guy's gonna fall. Black is having a pawn behind which he'll be shielding. So the black king's gonna go, if there is any queen coming to b7 or e7, the king's gonna go h7. I don't know if you got a perpetual or something, but it's difficult. And black's turn, by the way. Do you know, I could play a check first. King's gonna go, I don't know where. Down on the second rank, that is. And I wonder if I could take then the rook. Or do you want to take the rook now? Maybe you want to take the rook now for this, if you get a chance, but I don't think so. That much. So, guys, thank you very much, my TikTok friends, April Treat and Michelle. I've just switched quickly now to the other tab. So appreciate your presence, my TikTok friends. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok and perhaps YouTube. Great stuff. Thank you. And of course, you can check my latest video on the knight and bishop checkmate finesse practice and stuff. That would be cool. So yeah, he decided Shreyas, queen takes g1. And this is a passer. And you've got a problem. There's a problem here. Queen b7 means you're still allowing black to pushing this guy, and you don't even do nothing. So I don't know what ways of attack you're having, because this guy is dangerously moving down the board for e1 promotion. So yeah, what do you do with white here? What do you do with white? You don't even have a check to say you want a tempo or something. You don't. You don't have a check. You have nothing. There is also queen to c, which checks the king. I think this is the best plan for black. And you go for the other pawn, if that's something of concern. Although I think more importantly is the pass pawn, guys, the black pawn on e4 that wants to moving down. This is the actually more important than taking the f4 white pawn, which by the way will be opposed by the g7 anyway. And I think looks to me, guys, that white needs a way more tempi to actually play something threatening. And by the way, black king goes shielding behind the pawn, whereas white king is out in the open. Not that much of a shielding. They're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in trouble here now. That's a thing. And after queen c1, assuming king goes to b3 or king goes to b4, if queen vacates the square, you got to be careful about all sorts of checks coming. Sorry, not that one. That doesn't work. But okay, yeah. No. That doesn't work. Queen b7. He goes for the material now. Queen takes b7. I'm very curious if black is going to respond with c. Or he's going to push the pawn. What is he going to do? What would you guys play if you had the black pieces here? Would you play queen c1 or would you move the pawn down? What would you guys do here? I think black needs to use this. Actually, they're both kind of good, so to speak. They're kind of both good. I don't know which one goes best here. I don't know yet. Or queen c1, king moves, and then just push the pawn. I'm not sure. White would be happy with the perpetual check. White would be very happy with the perpetual check. I mean, if white makes something step like queen c8, let's assume the black queen is on c1. Just give an example. Let's imagine black queen is on c1. Imagine c8 available and also h3 available. So you can check the black king onto this diagonal, back rank, and then you're gonna, move the queen whatever necessary. If king h7, you're gonna go h3. If king f7, you're gonna go d7. So you're gonna be keep checking the king on those two three squares here, here, and here. If you manage to make it, you're gonna be using this square, and this square. Knowing this, can black try to do something to prevent the perpetual? Because this guy is very close. You only need 3 tempi to promote the pawn and to winning the game. So I think the only thing for white is just to go for perpetual check or just checks. So, okay. Finish the iced coffee. Okay. 38 minutes. Well, good news for black is that Shreyas has a lot of time. 38 minutes. That's very much time available. So I think it's very good now and wise to spending just more time before you're moving. Let's have a quick look, guys, at Luke Machine game. And Callum. Let's have a look at this one. What's going on? They still play? What move is that? I'm just curious. Move number 39. Okay. Time is to be updated shortly, I guess. Time is to be updated. Whose turn is it? Queen e7. Last move for black. White to play. I don't know what's going on here with this game now. Bishop is pinned, right? The bishop on h4 is pinned. And the bishop on b7 doesn't really exist. This bishop is a pain. I mean, it's an absolute pain. What do you do? This bishop, you could take it and throw it away. The bishop on b7, guys, if you ever struggled with the idea of a bad bishop, it's enough now to look at the bishop on b7 and you understand what's a bad bishop. The bishop doesn't exist. Good, but, you know, black actually enjoys one extra piece. I think black just wants to trade stuff. If you trade off stuff, you're going to keep yourself the extra piece material advantage, and then you're going to win. But we'll see about that. Black should be winning. Bishop stops the rook from playing rook f2 and rook f7 because the bishop just stops that from happening. Could you perhaps just play? Because if bishop takes, you just takes the rook, right? They played an Indian game, d4, knight f6, bishop f4, a bit of London system here. b6, a little bit unorthodox. e3, bishop b7, knight f3, e6, knight bd2, bishop b7, bishop d3. Yeah, a bit of a London system there. With the fianchetto for black on b6, resembling the Owens defense. But anyway, Indian game, London system, right? So I got a question, guys. Step, just very honest question. Can white play rook f2 now? For this check on f7. If bishop takes, I'll take the rook, and then I'm going to take the bishop, and I think I'm doing super cool. Please correct me if you think I'm wrong, and tell me if you see this one the same. That is rook f2. Do you think it's playable? Very honestly now. Do you think, guys, this is playable, rook f2? Let me check if my TikTok friends have answered. No? Okay, cool. Do you think that's playable? I think definitely playable. I think rook f7 will be played whatever you choose to play after rook f2 now. So if white does rook f2, black can't really prevent that rook f7 stuff. There is no check that black can play, and rook f7 is a big threat, a very big threat. I don't know what you're playing. I think they kind of like blundered a little bit, honestly. I think, what was the blunder? I think they blundered a little bit. Black, I think this move, rook h5, is not the best move. Because it doesn't stop any rook f2, and that's what I actually want to play. Honestly, this is what I want to do. That is what I'd like to try. Rook f2. Now I'm curious if actually Callum does play it. Rook f2, rook f5. I get it. I understand. I hear you. Rook f1. No. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Rook f1 for the time being. Rook f1, rook takes, queen takes, and I don't know what else. I'm just going to try play like this. Yeah, there is rook f5. I get it. I understand. Let's look at something else. Knight g6. Knight g6, knight g6, knight g6. I attack the queen, right? And the bishop, knight g6. So we got to consider knight g6 or rook f2. Which one is it? Or maybe there's a better one. Maybe there's just simply a better one. Maybe there is rook g4. That's another candidate move. Another interesting stuff. Rook g4. Rook g4, rook g4. Maybe. Rook g4. The bishop can't move, right? That's the whole thing. Which one is the best? In between those three, amongst those three ideas, which one is the best, I wonder? Knight g6, rook g4, rook f2. Which one is it? The most aggressive one. Okay, you don't want to trade here. You don't want to keep trading with white, because if you keep trading, I think knight g6 might be perhaps. I think knight g6 might be perhaps. Attacks the queen, attacks the bishop. Still, we don't want to invite so many tradings here. It's a tough one. Maybe rook f2, and after rook f5, you go back to g2. I mean, it's important to consider anything, everything, just not to lose. Any repetition would be also good. Rook f2. Rook f2 played by this guy, Callum Salmons. Rook f2 being played. He thinks like us. I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe it's bad. If he thinks like us, maybe it's bad step. Maybe it's not good if the guy thinks like us. You know, maybe it's not that good. The rook f2, exactly as we said with this idea. Now after rook f5, which I think is going to happen, rook f5, you still don't want to trade stuff. You don't want to trade, right? So where do you go? Can you go g2 or h2? Because most definitely no trade interested in. White can't afford the luxury to trade. I don't know what you're playing. Maybe rook h2. Maybe rook h2. Go for some repetitions. Maybe if you got a chance, can you play? Let me think. Nah, you got to play the rook away. Rook G or rook H. Maybe rook H, because that's where the black king is after all. Yeah, it's a great outpost for the knight on e5, but you got to try take advantage of, which is easier said than done. Okay. So, what's David doing with the other guy? Oh, black is still thinking. If you remember, guys, David Howell, the famous commentator and grandmaster, and Shreyas playing. And I drew the arrows to showing, I think, that white wants to play c8, d7, and h3 to check the black king forever. And now the question is, if black wants to play e3, or you would do queen c1, or you would do queen e3. Let me look at e3. e3, check, right? Okay, king moves. Check again. Where do you go? You go in a corner? Fine. Check again. Where do you go? Here? Okay, fine. Check again. No, you can't push e3. You can't push e3. It's going to be taken. Because at some point, you either do the perpetual check, or you choose to block with the queen, to which white queen takes, king takes, and this guy is going to be captured. So maybe, after all, queen c1, then grabbing on f4. You're not pushing the pawn because you lose it. So queen c1, king goes wherever the king goes, like b3. I don't think he's not going to go b4 because we're going to take b2 and win the white queen. So queen c1, king to b3, and then you take this guy, and whatever checks happens, then you put a queen in front of the king. I think, this is the plan for black to win. I think white's winning now. Queen c1, and you take... There you go, there you go, there you go. He did spend like 10-15 minutes. There you go. King b3, obviously not king b4, because then b2 take and queen is gone. So now queen takes on f4. And if there's any check on the back rank, whatever that means is queen blocking. So you don't need to be fearing the perpetual check now. But no, he goes for this one. King has to go here. a3. There's no other choice. King a3. Also, this guy is hanging. He actually wants to create... Okay, this is a very super cool move. He actually wants to create two passing pawn step. He wants to remove d4 and thus have cleared the way for a d and e file black pawns. So king's gonna move. And then I don't know, do you take on d4, right? But how do you do about that perpetual we were discussing? I think queen should have taken on f4 rather than d4. I'm still debating. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. White wants to do a perpetual. White is fully aware, that actually black's is gonna win if you allow them to pushing this guy or perhaps this guy. So white's gonna look for perpetual checks, which he can deliver if black queen is kind of like stuck in its own guise, you know. But anyway, after queen a3, what do you play with black? I think you're gonna do check, right? I think. But then king can go a2, that is. It's not. I think you should have taken f4. Maybe this line is working too. Maybe I'm missing some tactics. I don't know. Just yet. I don't know. Maybe. Very tough endings here. 20 minutes, that cool. David Howell White. Okay, what other games in progress here? Okay, let's see the other guy. It's like 600 LO points difference in between the two. So, okay, black should be winning, but yeah, I think black's winning. I think black's winning. Rook f2. Why is he not playing rook f5? I don't think there's anything else available here. Is there anything else available apart from rook f5? What else can black play? Why is he using that much time? Rook f5. I can't take the bishop, can I? Sorry, rook f5. What is he planning on taking the knight, actually? Oh boy, he wants to take the knight. Do you know what's he calculating step? I'm not sure. Don't tell me he calculates to take the knight. No. You need that bloody rook. You can't just give it for the knight. Okay, again, rook f5. And then white's going to have to play g2 or h2 to the rook, right? Hi there, my friend. You're a chess student, right? That's cool. Rook f5. Rook f5, maybe. Rook f5. I really am curious what exactly is Look Machine thinking right now. What else can you play? So Sam, what is black supposed to be playing in this position if you had the black pieces? If you were Look Machine, what would you play personally? This guy's been playing since like, what, 3 p.m. or something they started the game? 2:30? They've been playing for hours. I think I started 1 hour ago, the stream. What would you play here if you had the black pieces? Me and Step, we actually thought that rook f5 is the only move. Rook e5, d5, d4, ed4, e3, maybe. That's, yeah, it's a big complication stuff. He might be activating the bishop on b7, which currently suffers a great deal. But yeah, and when you remove the knight, you remove the danger of rook f7 as well. But I'm not sure. The bishop's being pinned. Rook is still here. Mind you, though, rook takes instead d4. I'm not going to take after d4. I'm not going to take on e4. I'm going to play rook h2. And the bishop is really gone. So let's think a little bit the sequence you proposed. Rook takes e5. D takes, okay, d4, okay, and I'm not going to take your pawn. I'm going to play rook h2. The bishop cannot be possibly saved, so it doesn't work for black. Exactly. I mean, I understand that you might be thinking about activating the bishop on b7, but that's not the way. I think you got to play it the hard way. You got to go for the tradings and things. Rook f5, if white rook takes, which I think they shouldn't, then you take this, and then you might start to hoping with bishop c and then push this guy somehow. So now I'm just curious what's Luke Shane thinking about. If not rook f5, I would be curious what is he thinking. Okay, what other live games have we gotten here? There are a few. Gawain won that game, guys. Let me see how Gawain won the game. Yeah. He won the game because it was just too much. Queen on pre, pawn takes, and rook takes queen. Okay, that makes sense. Let me see this one here. Hey, the guys took a couple of pawns. Okay, queen c4, king a3 forced. Queen takes. He took on c6. I think, what do you think about a c8 going for the perpetual check, so to speak? Anyway, king moved to the center, blacks to play. Blacks to play, 2 passed pawns. 2 black passed pawns. I think he would love to trade off the queens and take advantage of the two central pawns. Okay, let's look. There's a check here. They're going to move. Nah, you got to try and strive to trade off the things, but maybe this. So if you play queen f6, white's going to play queen to d or queen to c7, I guess. Then you can block again. You can. And then they will decline the trade. They won't be playing. They will play queen c6 again. But wait a minute. Queen f6, and if there is any queen c7, you block and you change. Or if there is any queen d7, when you block, you force the queen's trade, which is great. Do you know what I mean, Step and Sam? So you play queen f6, right? You play queen f6. You challenge the white queen because you got two pawns and you want to push and get yourself queen. These guys are unstoppable. These guys are unstoppable. They can't be stopped. So queen f6. Nah, queen f6 because you challenge the white queen, and then you're gonna block with your queen attacking this guy and forking the queen. So if white goes 7th rank check, you get rid of the queen. That's it. You're winning with black. Now it doesn't guarantee that after queen f6 and queen a white queen is going to check you on the 7th rank, but at least queen f6 also attacks the queen, but the pawn as well. The pawn on f4. So you might be grabbing some more piece, you know. Why not? I think it makes sort of sense, right? It makes sense. Queen f6. And white queen mustn't go on the 7th. Okie dokie. All right. That is Shreyas and David, the first board here. Very, very, very sharp ending and very difficult. Black should be winning to my evaluation here. You guys tell me if you think white has any chances of drawing or winning or something. It looks to me black's better, right? Because of the two passed pawns. None of the white pawns are passed. There is a pawn majority, but it takes a billion years to push this, guys. Up the board successfully, challenge the black pawn, take it, and then promoting. That's just not going to happen. Queen f6. Queen takes d5. It does. Then this, and then they go this. Yes, that is correct. Yep. Queen f6, queen takes d5 with tempo, check, grabbing more stuff, and then the other guy will fall. Yes, you're right. Black has very difficult job in finding the correct square where you're actually defending d5. It's important. So, you said previously queen a5. Queen a5, I think, is the... sorry, what queen a5, man? Pawn takes it. No, you can't do that. You can't do it. You got to play something else. Maybe a check. Maybe you have to play a check. That's just not easy. What about queen c4? Do you think queen c4? No, man, we just using the, our own minds in this scorching hot temperature. I know, man, it happens. It happens. Especially when you do puzzles or puzzle rush and you got something like this, you think that the pawn should go the other way. And you try to play and it doesn't work. All right. Goodbye then, Sam. See you next time. That's what chess is. For some folks, it's bothersome. Excellent choice. Excellent choice versus the Magnus robot. Okay. So that had been done. What other games are live? This one. I think this is instructive watching how a 2600 player versus a 2000, let's say. But it really takes a lot of time for Look Machine to decide what to play. What is it doing? Why not rook f5? Is there any hidden resource we're not seeing, guys? What's the stuff we don't see? What's going on? What is the other move? What is he thinking that long? I don't know. Okay. Any other live games? There are a few. Oh, rook f5. Rook f5. Look at this one, Step. We discussed rook f5 ages ago, and there you go. Look, Machine just played it now after like what, 10 minutes? Finally, rook f5. Finally. So you shouldn't trade the black rook because you're helping white and you give them hope with the bishop playing on c8. I think you should be going rook g or h. So you shouldn't trade. And which one is it? Could you do queen g2? Yeah, but you still don't want to trade off the rook. Because rook takes... Sorry, there is a bishop as well. So this out of the question, queen g2. So you got to play rook. You got to play rook g2 or rook h2. Yes, you got to play rook g or rook h. You shouldn't trade. You mustn't trade here. So rook h2, rook goes back, and then go back to f2. If you draw against the Grandmaster with 2600 LO, why not? Why not? Just draw. I think step rook h2 back, rook h5 being forced, and then go back on f2 because black doesn't have any other option. And actually for a 2000 LO player to draw against the Grandmaster, I think it's just great. Really, I think drawing in this situation with the strong player, with such a strong player, this is an achievement to draw in this game. Really is an achievement. So yeah, I think totally wise go rook h again and then back on f2. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I do. That's exactly what I do. Just draw. Any other live games, my friends? Let me see. Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna go back and forth to David's game and Shreyas and these two guys. What happened here? Okay, what were we last time? This. Wait. Check. Moved f6. Check. King attacks. Check. Goes back. Oh, this is so tough. White to play. This is so tough. If you do check here, black's gonna block like this, right? I mean, there's so many checks that are going to happen. It's so difficult to play this. Queens can check from so many ways. Yeah. I mean, white can deliver so many checks diagonally. You can deliver check with the queen. You can deliver with the pawn. You can do queen g6. There are some things. You're still having your checks. And black has to calculate which way to go with the king after the checks. You could push the pawn, because if you push the pawn, not just that you check, but also, yeah, well, that's not that great because that pawn can't be really stopped, but you just push the pawn. You check this guy. Let's say they move where? Here? Where do you check next? So that's not that great. So pawn f5 is not working because they move away, and where is your next check? You don't have any other check. It is crazy the amount of calculation you have to do, Step. In this kind of chess endings, it's crazy how much you have to calculate. So yeah, absolutely. Again, f5 doesn't work because king goes d7, and then you have no other checks. Where's the other check? No. Therefore, this is dangerous. You mustn't do this. So you have to use the queen. And now I think there's two big options here, either queen g6 or queen g4. These are the only things you could look at here with white. I don't know what else. I don't know what else you could do. Hey, they drew. And I think it's a big achievement here for Callum. Big achievement. To have drawn against the Grandmaster? Come on. He didn't play Rook H2 though. He played Rook G2. Let me put the analysis. I want to know. It shows a big advantage. Do you know something? I think Rook H2 was the stuff. Hey, there is only one move that draws. Step, have a honest look on this one. There is only one move that actually draws. This is so complicated that this guys, I mean, black couldn't find the way through. I mean, I understood that Rook H2 is the forcing stuff that attacks the bishop twice and forces Rook H5 back. This is the only way to play. But he played Rook G2, which allows black to do something. Just allows black to do something. Like even a little tiny improvement, a little improvement like Queen F6. It just modifies the layout a bit. It just brings about something new. There is a new piece. There is double power here. It's just different with Queen F6. And the situation changes with Queen F6. Very weird. Why did he accept a draw? Okay. Again, Rook H2 would have been my first choice, and we were discussing in between ourselves, Callum, and we did say that actually Rook H2 would be the drawing sequence here. Anyway, they drew. Okay. What can I say? They drew, they drew. That's what it is. All right. That's a very, very instructive, very difficult game happening. Probably either Queen G4, Queen G6, one of these two. There's a lot to calculate. There's a lot to calculate. Queen G6 I'm more interested in. Let's say King's going to go E7. Well, then you're going to go back on G5. That's the only thing you're going to do. If King after King G6 goes, after Queen G6, if Black King goes D7, then you could go Queen F7, I guess. And then King's going to play again. Then you're going to go G6. It'll be a very, very, very long and strenuous and difficult ending here with very many checks coming. No, there's the same time control step. It's 90 minutes for 40 moves, and then you get half an hour. You get half an hour, and you have 30 seconds increment every single move you play from the very beginning. That's the format. If I read it correctly, if I remember, that is the format here. Right. Okay. Okie dokie. So what did happen? Queen G4. He went for Queen G4. Okay, that allows you to do another check. If the king goes E7, you're going to play Queen G5, I guess. But then Queen is blocking. Yeah, but then you could take the other guy. This is so much to factor in. This is so difficult sequence. So if they go King E7, what is your check again? What is your check again? Because it's going to be check. Yeah, but then they're going to go F7, for instance. And boy, we're playing here a lot. Then check, but then they may block or not, or they go back on E7. You're going to keep repeating this. You're going to keep repeating it. Okay. Alrighty, fellas. Step. I thank you very much, my friend, for being with me for the duration of the stream. I think it's only like a handful of viewers now, 2 or 3. So we're going to call it a day now, guys, after like 1 hour, 20 minutes. Thank you, my TikTok friends. Thank you, my Twitch friends, and my very few YouTube friends. You can follow me and subscribe, guys, and we'll be in touch. tomorrow we'll try to stream again, and yeah, maybe we're going to be a bigger number of viewers, and it's going to be more delectable, more pleasurable, being a larger group. Thank you, and bye.